Somewhere in Ohio, on the night of August 15, 1977, a radio telescope was listening to the universe. No human was watching. The machine swept the sky automatically, printing columns of numbers onto continuous rolls of paper. Most of those numbers were noise. Static. The hiss of an indifferent cosmos. But buried inside one of those printouts, something was there. A sequence of characters, 6EQUJ5. A signal so powerful, so perfectly structured, so precisely tuned to the one frequency that every scientist on Earth had agreed would be the calling card of an intelligent civilization. That when a researcher finally found it, days later, he did the only thing a human being could do. He circled it. And he wrote one word in the margin. Wow. That word is now famous. 47 years have passed. The most sophisticated radio telescopes in human history have swept that same patch of sky hundreds of times. The signal has never appeared again. No confirmed explanation exists. No natural source has ever been identified that could produce what Big Ear detected that night. And so the question hangs in the silence of space, unanswered. What sent it? The year is 1977. The Cold War is stretching toward its third decade. Voyager 1 has just been launched into the outer solar system, carrying a golden record with the sounds of Earth, in case someone out there is listening. At Ohio State University, a radio telescope called Big Ear is doing something almost quixotic, scanning the sky for signals that shouldn't exist. Signals that could only come from something that, like us, had learned to broadcast. The project was part of SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, a scientific framework built on a haunting premise that we are probably not alone, and that the mathematics of the universe suggest we should eventually hear the proof. Jerry Ehman was a volunteer, not a famous astronomer, not a government researcher. A man who gave his time to sit at a table and review printed data that was almost always nothing, until the night it wasn't. To understand why the wow signal matters, you need to understand one thing: the hydrogen line. Hydrogen is the most common element in the universe. Every civilization capable of building a radio telescope would study it. And hydrogen emits a natural radio frequency 1420 MHz. It is, in a sense, the universe's own frequency, written into the structure of matter itself. Scientists like Frank Drake proposed in the 1960s that any intelligent civilization attempting to communicate across space would use this frequency. It's the one channel that requires no cultural translation, no shared language, no prior contact. It's just physics. The assumption was, if something out there is calling, it will call on this frequency. On August 15, 1977, at 10:16 p.m. Eastern Time, Big Ear received a signal at exactly 1420 MHz. It was 30 times stronger than background noise. It lasted exactly 72 seconds. The precise duration any fixed point source would produce as Earth's rotation carried it through Big Ear's field of view. Its intensity rose, peaked, and fell in a perfect, smooth curve. It behaved exactly as the models predicted an extraterrestrial signal would behave. In the days that followed, astronomers attempted to verify what they'd found. They turned the telescope back. Silence. They searched for any known natural phenomenon that could have produced the signal. They found nothing. Solar flares don't produce narrowband transmissions. Pulsars don't broadcast on the hydrogen line. Satellites and aircraft leave different signatures entirely. The signal didn't drift in frequency the way terrestrial interference does. It didn't scatter the way reflections behave. It pointed at a fixed location in space, in the constellation Sagittarius, and then it was simply gone. Robert Gray, an independent researcher who dedicated decades of his life to this single mystery, wrote that no conventional astrophysical process has ever been shown to produce a signal with these characteristics. He conducted dozens of follow-up observations using multiple telescopes over 20 years. He found nothing. In 2016, astronomer Antonio Paris proposed a new theory, two comets, 266, P. Christensen and P. 2008, Y2, were passing near those coordinates in 1977. Hydrogen clouds in their comas could theoretically generate radio emissions. But the comet's position data was disputed. Their known emissions don't match the signal's profile. And the overwhelming consensus among SETI researchers was that the comet hypothesis introduced more problems than it solved. The mystery remained. Here is where it gets stranger. Not only has the signal never been detected again, the silence itself is odd. If it was a natural phenomenon, we would expect it to be repeatable. Natural processes don't usually fire once across the observable universe and then disappear. But if it was a deliberate transmission, something beamed across space by an intelligence that understood the hydrogen frequency, the question becomes even more unsettling. Why once was it a test? A beacon left running that we caught for 72 seconds. A transmission aimed not at us specifically, but at any civilization in our region of space that happened to be listening. Or, and this is the thought that tends to keep astronomers awake, what if it was a message that expected a reply, and we failed to answer in time? In 2012, astrophysicist Ermanno Poretti led a team that transmitted a response toward the signal's source coordinates using the Arecibo telescope. They sent the first 10 prime numbers, a mathematical greeting that would be unambiguous to any intelligence that understood mathematics. The response, if any was sent, has not reached us. At the speed of light, across the estimated source distance, it might not arrive for decades or centuries. We are, quite literally, waiting. There is a detail about the WOW signal that most accounts don't emphasize. It wasn't just that the signal was present. It was that it was perfectly behaved. A signal from a moving source, a satellite, a plane, a comet with a velocity relative to Earth, would show a Doppler shift. The frequency would rise slightly as the source approached and fall as it receded. That shift would be measurable, detectable, characteristic. The WOW signal showed no such drift. It was, to the limits of measurement, stationary. Meaning, whatever produced it was either at an almost inconceivably large distance, moving so slowly that the Doppler shift was below detection, or it was deliberately corrected for drift. The second possibility implies something that chose to compensate for its own motion. Something that understood the physics of what it was doing well enough to transmit a clean, stable signal across interstellar space. That is not a natural phenomenon. That is engineering. The WOW signal forces us to sit with a paradox. We built the instruments. We designed the search. We defined the frequency. We listen. And for one 72-second window on a night in 1977, the universe answered, not with poetry, not with mathematics, not even with a repetition we could confirm, just a shape in the noise that matched our expectations so precisely that it was almost as if the cosmos said, yes, you're looking in the right place. Keep going. And then, nothing. The Fermi paradox asks, if intelligent life is common in the universe, where is everybody? The WOW signal turns that question inside out. Maybe they were here, or rather, their voice was here, briefly, bleeding across 2,000 light-years of space before dissipating into the hiss of background radiation. Maybe the silence since 1977 isn't absence. Maybe it's patience. Or maybe, and this is the hardest thought to sit with, maybe the signal was not the beginning of a conversation. Maybe it was the whole conversation. On a night in August 1977, a man named Jerry Ehman sat at a table in Ohio, looking at columns of numbers that represented the universe's whisper. He found the one moment that didn't fit. And instead of dismissing it, he circled it. There's something deeply human in that gesture. The willingness to say, this matters, even if I don't know why. Even if I never find out. The Big Ear telescope was demolished in 1998 to make way for a golf course. The sky it pointed at is still there. The coordinates in Sagittarius are still there. And somewhere out in that direction, 2,000 light-years of space, filled with stars we haven't named, planets we haven't found, and silence we haven't broken. Whatever sent the signal either still exists, or it doesn't. We don't know which possibility is more terrifying. We only know that for 72 seconds, across an unimaginable distance, something reached out. And we heard it. The question is whether we'll ever be lucky enough, or whether they'll ever be patient enough to try again.